Association at the time, where most of the bigwigs, Chief Umayan was the chairman, a very good man, a great man. He was our chairman. Alhaji Shinkafi was there, the former head of NSO, Adamuchi Roma. All the biggest politicians of the day were there. And my father told me, don't go into this thing. I mean, you just, these guys, you can't do it. Just stay out of it. I said, nope, that's what I want to do. So I went into it. And it was a very challenging period, because what I had to do was leave everything and do this thing full time. Elected as the national youth leader of the NNC. I believe it was in 1989, okay? And we worked so hard to get that party registered. There were two big parties then, PSP, which is the Progressive, and NNC, which was the Conservatives. We worked so hard. The whole political class worked hard to get that party, but we worked extremely hard. And I spent that whole period, almost a year or two, traveling the country trying to achieve Babangida's criterion for registration. And of course, it never materialized because he didn't register any of those parties. Rather, he said with NRC or SDP. So our group went to NRC, a little to the right, took control of the leadership of the NRC. And once that happened, I was now actively involved. And of course, I had my first political lesson, when I ran for the publicity secretaryship of the NRC. When I was to have been the candidate, everything had been lined up, the list had been drawn up. And then there was a certain element of some people believed I was anti-North and complained bitterly that I was...
This was way after school?
After school, because you asked about the difficult periods for me.
So no, I'm talking while you were a teenager.
Yeah, but no. Once I was a teenager...
Yeah, before you finished school. Way before you finished school.
Nothing too challenging, other than the fact that, of course, the problems that people encounter from time to time, any university student. I mean, today I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't even go to parties, But of course, I really partied in those days. Those were the party years. There was no major crisis for me at that time.
Did you drink and smoke in the past?
Of course I did. That's what I'm saying.
What did it for you? What gave you the strength?
No, that's why I'm building up to come to that, because really the defining moment for me came later, when I went through all that, and I did all those things that anybody of that age would do, particularly in my generation and where I was, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. You understand? Because I was I was doing well at school, but really it was later on, and I thank God for all I've been through, because I now realize, and I'll come to it later, what I felt was the most important thing in life, and all these other things passed away. Because when I went through this political thing and we started, and there was disappointment all along. We did the NRC, there was one crisis after the other within the party, factions. I really learned the hard way. I was with the Ikimi group, I worked with Chief Ikimi, I was with Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi, who was to have been president of the country. We worked extremely hard. A great man, would have been a wonderful president. And again, we dedicated almost years. I dedicated 2 years of my life to campaigning and working for Alhaji Umaru Shinkafi to be the presidential flag bearer of the NRC. Well, again, General Babangida had other plans for all of us, because at the last minute, he now disqualified everybody. And said that, it was a crazy situation. And at that point, having spent 3 or 4 years of my life doing this thing full time, you understand, and nothing else, not making money, my colleagues, not investing. My father kept telling me, look at what you are doing. This thing is not so. So when it now finally happened, he said, well, I told you. And at that point, for me, it was terrible for me. I had a breakdown. I gave up on life. I didn't want to live anymore. I just felt, look, I'm fed up. What am I going to do now? I've never failed before in my life, in anything. But this one for me is a failure, because we didn't achieve, and I didn't achieve my objectives.
Out of no fault of yours.
Out of no fault of mine. And the other thing that we had already listed, if my candidate had come in, he would have been president. We already had an idea where all of us would be in the government. So we had drawn up blueprints about what we would do in this country. We were going to have an election against General Yaradua, and we believed we would have defeated the SDP in that encounter. Shinkafi against Yaradua. We believe, and so we knew who would be minister, who would be this. Everybody had been told what he would be. And you can imagine at a very young age, and then all of a sudden, after 3 or 4 years, all my passion, and it was a difficult time for me, and I just didn't want to. I cut off from everybody, and I just had a breakdown, and I felt very, very ill. I almost died, and what happened was that, and this is why I say God was the one charting my path, because, you know, my former wife left me because she felt I could never amount to anything again. And everybody gave up on me except for my parents. So they now said, and my mother at that time was now a Pentecostal, a born-again Christian, and said, look, that maybe you need prayers and all this type of thing. And I got, oh yes, and I got the prayers here.
Were you that depressed?
I had broken down completely. I was fed up with life. If I could have killed myself, I would have done so. I was not happy. I was ill. I was not well. I was finished. You understand? And this is my testimony, because everybody has to have a testimony. And it's a very important part of my life, which I always tell people about, to encourage others that are down today. So what happened was they now decided that, look, this guy doesn't seem to want to do anything. He's just wasting away, and we need to get help for him. They took me. I went to watch the.
This is as a result of
the
annulment.
Of what happened, yes. And you know, that annulment destroyed the lives of a lot of people. If you remember that time, lecturers in university came to join politics. There was a law that if you leave your lecturing job to come in to join politics and join these parties, that if you don't, so can't go back to some crazy law like that. Some people, you know, started. It was really traumatic for the whole political class. It was really, especially those that were right at the top, you know. So for me, you know, I just at that point checked out and said, it is enough.
Did this lead to more smoking and drinking?
No. Well, you know, when people break down, they do all sorts of things, because you do anything that